Okay. So, good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to this morning's edition of our conversation with an alum. We have a special guest this morning, and my colleague in Abuja, Grace Lamon, the American Center Abuja director, will be reading his bio. Over to you, Grace.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Lamon, American Center Director, U.S. Embassy Abuja. Thank you, Josephine, and welcome, Dr. Uchechukwu Chukwuocha. So I'm going to briefly read his bio. Dr. Uchechukwu Chukwuocha is a distinguished research scientist, global health innovator, and reader in the Department of Public Health at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. He is currently under consideration for promotion to full professorship. He is a distinguished alumnus of the US Fulbright program, and he has also been a recipient of several prestigious fellowships and research grants. As the founder of the Innovations and Technologies for Disease Control Research Group at his home university, Dr. Chukwuocha has led the development of numerous community-centered and technology-driven initiatives aimed at combating infectious diseases. His projects include mobile health solutions such as No Malaria Digital Learning Game, Malaria Classroom Corner, community public ad for neglected tropical diseases, awareness and stigma migration, and a patented wearable device for contact tracing and vital signs monitoring. Wow, that's a very heavy CV, doctor. So through his visionary leadership, a cutting-edge molecular research laboratory was established at Federal University of Technology, Owerri, with over 100 million in funding. Dr. Chukwuocha has authored more than 80 peer-reviewed publications and has delivered presentations at both national and international forums. His work is grounded in a deep commitment to strengthening research capacity and applying innovative solutions to bridge critical gaps in public health systems. Dr. Chukwuocha is happily married to Adana Chukwuocha, and they are blessed with wonderful children. Outside his professional life, he enjoys traveling, sports, and mentoring the next generation. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You can take the floor now. You can go ahead, Doctor. So I'll ask the first question. What motivated you to apply for the Fulbright program, and how did you choose your host institution?
All right, thank you. So I usually tell people that when I was an undergraduate, first of all, I wrote JAMB. I wanted to study medicine and surgery at the University of Nigeria and Soka, but I didn't meet the cutoff. Not that I wasn't smart, but I don't know what happened at that time. So I bought the supplementary at Imo State University. That's where I studied, and I started studying microbiology. So during the course of my undergraduate studies there, I got attracted to two lecturers. One was Professor B.B. Woke and Professor INS Dozie, who happens to be my mentor. What attracted me to both of them was that they were always going for field activities, research activities. And whenever they came back with both of them would buy a new car, right? So I was attracted to these lecturers buying new cars. So that motivated me a lot to try to be like them. So somehow we became close, and I started undergoing their tutelage. So I did my undergraduate studies at Imo State University. my master's degree and my PhD in parasitology, all still wanting to be like them, to be buying cars all the time. But at some point, I began to learn and the type of research they were carrying out. And I began to think along the line of being different. I wanted to be different from any other person, establish my own path and move on. So that was the major motivation. So, to make a difference and to, create my own path and make some impact. All right. So that helped me to continue to soar, do my research, come up with ideas, put them on paper, try them in the field, come up with results, publish them. So in that course, I was selected as a young affiliate of the World Academy of Sciences twice, and the inauguration took place in 2010 in Hyderabad, India. It was at that meeting that my eyes opened so much, and I saw that I could actually achieve more beyond the level I was in Nigeria. Then I met a professor there, Ricardo Gazinelli, Brazilian, that I spoke to about my research. He encouraged me and told me to go for a postdoctoral fellowship after I just finished my PhD in December 2010. He asked me to go for a postdoctoral fellowship. He tried to help me, apply for a postdoc and was willing to host me in Brazil. But I applied for that postdoc and I didn't get it, right? So in I think that was 2012, the US consulate from Abuja came to our university to sensitize us about the Fulbright scholarships. I can remember that, program vividly. I was sitting behind, I was taking notes. So right after that program, I went online and did my search about the Fulbright scholarship, started putting together my proposals, and then started sending out cold emails to professors and researchers in the US. I sent out so many until finally one man responded. His name is Professor Stephen Rich. That was in 2012. Who is still we enjoy, a very cordial relationship and friendship till today. So Stephen Rich picked interest. We looked at my proposal, strengthened it. He now wrote me. So that is how I got my host. I wrote my proposal, sent out cold, emails to professors in the same discipline, in the same research area, malaria research and control, until Stephen Rich now responded. So we now continue to work together. We strengthened the proposal that I wrote. He now, sent me a letter of support, and we continue to, interact. But in 2012, that was the first time I applied for the Fulbright scholarship. I scaled through the first level of assessment. I was invited for the interview in Abuja. I came for that interview. Well, when I walked out from that interview, I wasn't very confident. So I didn't get it at that first time. That was 2012, right? And so I continued to sow out. So I went back, looked at that proposal again, updated it, and now applied for other programs. All right. In 2015, I used the same idea and research to go for to be able to get a postdoctoral fellowship under the World Academy of Sciences in Mexico, where I carried out the preliminary investigations on whole plant therapies as alternatives to anti-malarials. So when I now returned from that postdoctoral fellowship in 2016, I have a very close friend who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovations, a global leader in research and chemistry, Professor Emeka Oguzie. So he has gone through his postdoc and all that. After his postdoc, he went for a twice UNESCO, associateship program. So when I returned from the postdoctoral fellowship in 2016, he asked me what next, that I have to go for the twice UNESCO fellowship. I said, no, I'm going for the Fulbright scholarship again. He said, that's very difficult. You've tried it before, it didn't work, so I'm going for it again. So that year, I applied, I now strengthened that proposal again, and sent Professor Rich email, Professor Rich that I met in 2012. I sent him an email around 2017, yeah, and told him, Prof, we are going for that Fulbright scholarship again. He said, Uche, do you mean it? I said, yes, look at what I have. He looked at it, there was no corrections. He said, Uche, go for it. He now sent me another letter of support, now strongly worded more than what it was. So I now applied in 2018, and we scaled through the first assessment, and then we were invited for the interviews in Lagos. So I came for that interview wearing my suit and white shirt inside, looking very nice, went in for that interview. When I stepped out from that interview and came back to where they asked me, how did it go? I said, it went very well. Even if they were picking one person this time, it will be me, right? So the results came out, it was announced. I remember the day I saw the email in I think it was 2018 November. I was going for a meeting in Kigali. While we were boarding with my colleagues, I got the email. I told them I've gotten the Fulbright scholarship.
Great.
So in 2019, February 28th, we now moved to the US. I and my family, we went and we spent nine months in the laboratory of molecular zoology, where Professor Stephen Rich is the director. We worked together for the 9 months, and it was a great time, really great time. I learned a lot that has helped me, get established, and has also helped in whatever I'm doing right now. Even in the establishment of the molecular lab in my university was out of inspiration by Professor Rich, and the work we did in his lab. So
Great.
that is how it is. Thank you.
Yeah. We are coming to your experience during the exchange. But there was something that you said now that I think most of our young audience in our spaces can learn one or two things from. And that's one of the reasons why this program is part of the program that we run on American Spaces Network. You said the first time when you went in 2012, when you went for the
Yes,
exchange
sure.
interview, when you came out of the interview, you knew you did not do well. So can you just tell us
Yes.
those things that showed you or made you to think you did not do well? Maybe we can learn from that, your experience.
Okay. So first of all, I think I was kind of nervous going into that, into that interview. So I wasn't very, very confident. That was one of it. So when I got in there, some of the questions thrown at me at that time, threw me a bit off balance. I wasn't really coordinated, to respond to the questions the way, I was supposed to, So it's not all about having the right answers to the question, but there's some kind of attitude you have to put in there. That confidence alone helps you, in the interview process, right? Being able to convince the people that are interviewing you. And, one thing is that you are the one that has the proposal. It comes from you. So your ability to convince them that this is the right thing, this is the way I want to do it, and these are the results, and these results will be impactful, is very important. Doesn't necessarily have to be the right answers, right, of the questions they're asking you, but the confidence that you are able to exert, that attitude that you are able to put up, before the panel, and to convince them that you're doing the right thing. I think that's it. I didn't really have it at that time, but coming the second time, I'd acquired a lot of experiences and I was very confident. So yeah, sure, that's it.
So still going back to the 2012, you mentioned after you left the interview, what were the things that you were doing to make sure that you build up your career?
Yeah. Okay. So, I did so much within the period. Like I said, I was inducted as a young affiliate of the World Academy of Sciences in 2010, right? In 2011, before I applied for Fulbright, I'd already gone for a research visit in Berlin, Germany, for 3 months under the TWAS DFG program, right? So I started, establishing some kind of research profile in malaria control, research. So after the Fulbright experience, okay, I think it was in 2011 as well, because I was a young affiliate of the TWAS. I was invited to a meeting of the Nobel laureates in medicine and physiology in Lindau in Germany, right? You know what? That meeting, I left for that meeting a day after my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah. So my wedding was, yes, Saturday. The wedding held on Saturday. The next day by 12 noon, I was heading to Germany. I didn't want to go, but my mentors, Professor Dozier, told me, you have to go for that program. Your wife will be here waiting for you. And my wife understood. And that was why, when I was able to take her and the children for the Fulbright scholarship, in fact, that's one of the best accomplishments I've made, right? So within the period after 2012, I continued to put my research ideas together. I developed some kind of critical thinking. So whenever I come up with ideas, I put them down on paper. I develop a proposal, quickly, and I put it I have a folder in my computer where I put these things so that when there's an opportunity, I'll throw it in.
That's
So
fantastic.
between 2012 and 2015, I applied for the TWAS postdoctoral fellow because I actually wanted to go for a postdoc. I didn't want to end as a PhD holder. You just finish a PhD and then you sit back. No, I wanted to get a postdoctoral fellowship. So I applied and I got hosts, right? The first was in Brazil, like I told you, Ricardo Gazinelli. I applied, that one didn't work. Then I got another one in Malaysia. I think that was in 2013. Yeah. I got a host. We worked on proposals together. I applied for that postdoc. It didn't work again. So in 2014, I decided to give myself some space, have a retrospection, work on myself and my proposals and my ideas again. Then in 2014 ending, I got a host in Mexico, and then I applied for the postdoctoral fellowship. This time I got it, So in 2015, I went for my postdoctoral fellowship in Mexico in the Laboratory of Molecular Immunology, led by Professor Marta Legoretta, and I learned a lot from that woman as well, which also broadened my horizon. It was when I now came back from that postdoctoral fellowship in early 2016, and then I always want more. I'm always looking for more, right? When I came back from that postdoctoral fellowship, and I started thinking, what next? So my friend, Professor Guzia, suggested TWAS UNESCO. I said, no, I'm going for the Fulbright scholarship again. So that's what I was doing within the period, working on proposals and new ideas and applying for opportunities and all that.
Thank you. So I can pick something from that. When you are in your waiting period for what you really desire, don't fold your hands. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep gathering ideas. Keep thinking of the place, the future that you intend for yourself. So I would like to ask you, can you describe a defining moment during your Fulbright experience that significantly shaped your personal and professional growth?
Okay, so in the Department of Microbiology at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, so our laboratory, I'm still a member of that laboratory, the Laboratory of Molecular Zoology. I'm still a member of that lab till now. In fact, when I go to the US next year, wherever I am, I'll go there, to work for a while, maybe it's 1 or 2 days, So that department hosts a monthly seminar, right? Where faculty members or invited faculty from other universities or postdocs come to present, their ongoing research, right? So one of those days, I and Professor Stephen Rich went for that, monthly seminar, and a postdoc from a university, I think from Boston or something, came and made a presentation. I'm a research scientist in biology and health sciences, but I didn't understand anything about what he was presenting. I didn't
Mm,
really, or I didn't just understand what he was saying. The results he presented were not making any sense to me. So when we stepped out from there, I asked Professor Rich, I said, Professor Rich, do you know I didn't grab anything? None of what this guy presented made any sense to me. What do you think about it? He said, Uche, it may not make any sense to you right now, but probably sometime in the future, you may see it somewhere and it makes sense to you. And that
mm,
meant so much to me. That meant so much to me. So when the COVID-19 came, and then the vaccine that was used to arrest COVID-19 was a vaccine technology that was established a long time ago, using messenger RNA, to instigate immune response. Something that was developed a long time ago that didn't work with other diseases, but now came up and then worked with the COVID-19 for the development of vaccines. It now made a lot of sense to me. And so what that taught me is that you may have ideas, right? And what I tell my colleagues and the younger people around me is that even if the idea, once you have an idea, put it down on paper and continue to work on it. No
mm,
matter how stupid, and I use this word, no matter how stupid the idea sounds to you or to anybody else, put it down on paper, continue to work towards it. Sometimes it may make sense. Sometimes it may help you win something. And it's worked for me, really. It's actually
mm,
worked for me. The project I finished, I just concluded with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grant. When I came up with that idea, it didn't make sense to many people. Well, we put it up and it's making a lot of impact, undergoing review of the results with the Bulletin of the World Health Organizations, and it's good as being accepted for publication. So that was a defining moment for me,
all right.
that particular day that we went for that seminar and what happened there and the response that Professor Rich gave me, to my question, and it has really led me from then till now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much. So, what were the biggest challenges that you faced while adapting to a new academic or cultural environment, and how did you overcome them?
I don't know if I would say there were any challenges, real big challenges, because before then I'd already been exposed a little bit. I've been in Germany, lived there. I've been in Mexico, lived there for, Mexico, where language was a barrier and, some cultural,
Yeah.
issues. And then coming to the US, before that, I've been to the US a couple of times. In fact, as a matter of fact, after my master's degree in 2005, in 2006, I sent in the results to the American Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene for their Young Investigators Award competition. It was accepted, right? And so when it was accepted, I traveled to the US. You don't want me to tell you what happened. That I was still very young,
Yeah.
fresh from university. Salary was very poor. In fact,
Mm,
I came to the Abuja consulate to apply for the visa. They were delaying my visa, right? And they asked me to come back the next 3 days, and I came back again. And they asked me that I have to come back the next 3 days again. Meanwhile, I've already been away from Owerri for a long time from work, and I was putting up with a friend. I wasn't comfortable with it. I came to the embassy that they said that I have to come back. I said, no, I don't want to go to America again. Please give me my passport. Let me go back to Owerri. Yes, it was then that somebody now came from the back and came out and talked to me. What's going on? I told him that there's a delay here. They asked me to
mm.
come after 3 days. I came back, and after 3 days, they asked me to come again. So I don't want to go anywhere again. Let me go back to it. He now called me to the office and asked me questions. What are you going to do? What's your impact and all that? And answered. He said, okay, come back the next day. And I went back to the next day and they gave me a visa. I traveled to the US, went for that competition, presented my paper. I didn't win that competition, but it was very fulfilling for me. After a week, I came back to Nigeria. And my friends were telling me, you are very stupid. You have an opportunity and you came back. Say, yes, I came back. You know.
Yes.
So I've been to the US a couple of, like 2 or 3 times before the Fulbright. So there was really no challenge. And Professor Rich, because I've known him for a while, we've been interacting. He made our settling into the place very seamless, right? And the laboratory where I work was also you have people from different places. The deputy director, one, is from China. You have somebody from Japan there. You have Nolan from Mexico. You had the other person from Taiwan. So all of us were a highly diversified place. And we were very accommodating, very friendly. And AM has a small community, very accommodating people and all that. So the challenge I would have had would have been boredom or being lonely. But like I said, the Fulbright scholarship, provided for my family, which I was so grateful about because I left my wife a day after wedding to go for a program. In fact, that same year when she was pregnant with our first child, I traveled to Germany. That same 2011. I traveled to Germany. I spent 3 months before I came back. So I was always looking for an opportunity to go out with her. So the Fulbright provided that opportunity. So there was really no much challenges that I would say, I encountered during the time. For me, I mean, maybe that's peculiar to me. Yeah.
So you also did not have the challenge of food, Nigerian food.
Nigerian food, we traveled with our food. We traveled with our food, and I was the one making all the food there. I was the one making all the food. I was the one that would make the soup and the stew and all that. My wife could just boil rice sometimes, but I was making all the food. So it wasn't really a challenge. We packed our food and traveled with them. So it wasn't a big problem.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll make some food, some soup, and take to Professor Rich and his family. They tell them, try this soup. It's called okra soup or a goosey soup.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, or to the people in the lab. Yeah.
Wow, great. So, how did the Fulbright experience influence your perspective on international collaboration, diplomacy, or cross-cultural communication?
Yeah, like I said, our lab was a highly diverse laboratory. You have people from different places and work together, to come up with the results. And there's also something that the lab was doing. The lab was testing ticks for the whole of the United States. They had a component of the lab called tick reports. So they tested ticks for Lyme borreliosis. So rather than testing people, so when people saw ticks in their houses, if they wanted to know if they're at risk or exposed, they'll pick up the ticks, package them the way they're asked to do, and then send to our lab. You understand? The lab will now test those ticks, to see if they have the Lyme borrelia bacteria and send them back the results for them to follow up. So our laboratory was doing that for the whole of the United States. So I was involved in that. So we're really working together to do a whole lot. So it opened up my, horizon about collaboration, working with diverse people, reaching out to other people. We also had people coming to our laboratory from other universities and other, outfits in the US that Professor Rich introduced me to. We had interactions and all that. So when I even came back to Nigeria, that now helped me to set up the INTEDeC Group. That is the innovations and technologies for disease control research group. Where we have people, Nigerians, right, from different tribes. You have Yoruba there, we have Bini in the place, we have Hausa in the place, because students and colleagues. So we come together and then we work together to produce results, all right, seamlessly. Very happy people working hard, to produce results and make impact and help to solve the problems of infectious diseases, in our locality in Nigeria and now globally.
Okay.
So that helped me a lot working in that lab, yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much for what you are doing for our nation. I want to ask, what professional opportunities emerged directly from your Fulbright experience that you may not have had access to?
Professional opportunity. Well, I wouldn't really say I've had any real professional opportunity from. Probably I've missed out a lot. There are activities going on that I probably did not really get involved in, right? The Nigerian Alumni Group, I think it was just a few months ago that I joined, or I'm thinking that I came back in December, late December of 2019, and the COVID-19 broke out, and a lot of other things happened. So I didn't really follow up, so much. So from that, so I can't really pinpoint any professional opportunity that directly, emerged from my Fulbright experience.
Okay. So we are looking forward to, since you have joined the association now, we are looking forward to
So
more testimonials in that area. So
exactly.
we have audiences in 28 American spaces joining live on this program. So I would like to bring them in to ask questions. But before they raise their virtual hand, if you have questions, you can raise your virtual hand. We have one on the chat box from American Center Lagos. Says, what will you say about the United States exchange like Fulbright compared to similar exchanges from other countries that you have enjoyed? And what will you say to a younger person like you who is considering applying for exchange programs?
Yeah. So my experience in the US was a very unique one, right? Very, very unique experience that I had that has helped to shape, the way I think and the way I do things, particularly in my career. And so the Fulbright experience is something that, any young person should aspire to have, but you have to work hard at it. It doesn't come easy. Like I said, I tried the first time, it didn't work. So you have to you have to work very, very hard at it. Be consistent and resilient. And if you have it, the experience, yeah, I've had exchange opportunities in other countries. Very, very good, wonderful. All of them contributed in helping me, to shape my thinking and do the things that I'm doing now. But the Fulbright experience was very, very unique, particularly because of the people that I worked with. The lab where I found myself, the man that hosted me, he will, from time to time, he will say, Uche, leave this work in the lab. Let's take a walk and go to drink some beer in the city center. I will walk from the university and he'll say, Uche, if I wanted to bring up any talk about the assay that I set up in the lab or how, you say, Uche, this is not the time to discuss research. We'll walk from university to the city center, talking about several other things, food, culture, Nigeria. I said, Stephen, I'll bring you to Nigeria. I told him I'll be the first black person to bring him to Africa, but I've not accomplished that. I'm still working towards that. So it's a very unique experience that anybody will want to have, right? Very unique experience. So you will enjoy it and you will learn a lot from it.
Okay, thank you. I have a hand raised. American Space Sokoto, can you unmute and ask your question?
Okay, good morning, Dr. Uche, and good morning. My name is
Good morning.
Ibrahim. Yeah.
It's breaking.
Thank you. I would like to ask whether if there's any research, you mentioned about the malaria research, is there any available research that someone can go in, that will attract the opportunity? We have so many only
Sokoto, if you can type your question in the chat box, I think we'll be able to have a grasp of the question because your network was fluctuating, your audio was breaking, so we could not hear you clearly. But I heard something about malaria.
Yes.
Maybe, Dr. Uche, you can tell us some of the things that you've been able to achieve with the malaria, the research on malaria that you had.
Okay.
Sokoto, please go ahead and type. Go ahead and type in the chat box while he tells us a little about what he has done in regards to that research on malaria.
Okay. So yeah. So I think the network was fluctuating, but I grabbed a little bit. He asked if there's any available research that one can do. Okay. So for me, what led me to begin to do research in the malaria area is that I wanted to be different. I wanted to do something different. My mentors all were researching around neglected tropical diseases, which I have come back to now. Their research was focused on neglected tropical diseases. Professor B.B. Moke, a global leader, Professor INS Dozie, global leader now, Vice Chancellor, Professor Chihiro Kaga, all of them focusing on neglected tropical diseases, onchocerciasis, lymphatic filariasis. So being a rebel somehow, an intellectual rebel that I am, right? I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to go in the same direction with my mentors. So when it came for us to choose my topic for my research topic for PhD, I said it's malaria that I want to work. So I carved out the topic, the epidemiology, socio-economic and cultural aspects and control of malaria, all encompassing, right? So that was what I did. So in that research, PhD research, I was able to, study the epidemiology, how mosquitoes transmitted the malaria parasite and how much of it was happening in the Imo River Basin of Nigeria. The symptoms of malaria that people experienced, I documented all that, both the classical and non-classical symptoms, and then the prevalence of malaria at that time. And I went on to look at how social, cultural, and economic factors could influence malaria, both in the prevention, control, treatment, and all that. And also looked at the acceptance and how some of the cultural interventions were working at that time, such as the insecticide-treated nets. So that set the stage for me for malaria research. I generated a lot of data. And so moving forward, I still wanted to continue to do something different. And that was what led me to apply and get the research visit in Germany. I wanted to do something different as well. So I now started looking at malaria, anti-malaria drug resistance. That is a molecular study, right? At that time in 2011, there's no place you could have done it in Nigeria. So that led me to now begin to search for hosts in Germany, and then Frank Mockenhaupt, Professor Frank Mockenhaupt of the Institute of Tropical Medicine and International Health, Charité University Berlin, piqued interest. And then I collected samples, blood samples from here, on filter paper and traveled to Germany with them. And that was there where we now typed for the first time in southeastern Nigeria, the molecular polymorphisms associated with anti-malaria drug release. And I came back and published a paper on it in the Nigerian Journal of Histology. And what happened is that we saw polymorphisms that looked like we typed them as multi-drug resistance. But the way they appeared made me to write in that paper that this may be pointing out to a different kind of drug resistance And after a few years, the K13 drug resistance polymorphisms associated with the artemisinin-based therapies that I'm using now emerged, right? I don't know, but that was what I wrote in my paper then. So what I think is that, like I said, critical thinking. Look at your environment, particularly your immediate environment. You see malaria. What are those things you think are the major problems, obstacles to malaria control, interventions, and all that? And think of innovative ways to, address them. Put them on paper and develop a proposal from it, and now begin to look for opportunities. And then these opportunities come when your ideas are unique. Like I said, they may sound stupid to the layperson, but once it is unique, nobody has heard about it before. Be sure that it's going to fetch something. Be sure that it's going to fetch something. So my own idea is continue to think about those ideas that have not been presented before and see how to actualize them. Like when we came up with the malaria classroom corner, we said, let's go and use children. What do we put in the classroom that will help to create awareness about malaria and how it will be controlled among children, knowing that children are also conversation drivers in their homes, that whatever they learn in school, the new things they pick up they'll take them to their homes to try to talk to their parents. And sometimes the parents' attitudes and practices are influenced sometimes by what children tell them at home. So that was how we now came up with the idea of the malaria classroom corner, designed it and implemented it in a few schools, right? So nobody actually needs to, and that's what I tell our people. We don't necessarily need to follow the agenda that's been set up by other people, even though they come with the resources. Sometimes, we have to set up our own agenda. We have to develop our own agenda. See, look at the problems that we have. These are the ways, unique, culturally sensitive ways that we can address these problems, and we continue to pursue them. All right. So when you look at the malaria issue, and I'm sure that you can come up with your own unique ideas on solving the problems. Put them on paper, develop a proposal, and send it out somewhere. Somebody must get interested in it. And that's the way it works for me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So Sokoto was able to type his question. Says, are there other ways of research beside STEM that one can explore or venture into, attract opportunities like the one you had?
Okay, so like I said, it's still the same thing. So all the while, I was doing basic research. So at some point, even before the Fulbright scholarship, I told myself that I now have to do research for impact. I have to do research to solve problems, not just to do research and probably publish papers. No, my research will now have to be tailored towards solving specific problems, and that is that. So in doing that, there are other types of research, implementation research. Implementation research, the type of research that you carry out and you're implementing it and solving a problem at the same time. You come up with the idea, you carry out that research. The research is not just to, publish a paper or to, tick a box, but you're using that research you're carrying out to solve a problem. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, you remember I came back from the Fulbright scholarship in 2019, December. By January, February of the next year, COVID-19 had broken out. So we are all locked down, right? They said we should stay at home.
Yeah.
I stayed at home for like 2-3 months. I told myself, you are a research scientist and you're supposed to be helping to solve this problem. What are you doing at home? An idea now came to me. I said, all the while I'm doing malaria research, I've also worked with patent medicine vendors, people who sell drugs in shops along the streets and all that. I said, these people are the first point of call. If anybody has headache or fever, they will go to these people, right? And now this COVID-19 has symptoms that are similar to those of malaria. So what it means is that people who have COVID-19 may even be going to these drug shops And when they go to these drug shops, they will be spreading this COVID-19 in the drug shops if the drug shop owner does not know what to do. So I put it down on paper and I called a few friends together, said, let's go out and do something about it. So they now came, said COVID-19, said we'll have the permission from the state government to move out. We got that permission, then we moved out, started sensitizing the drug shops about COVID-19, the symptoms, similarity of symptoms between COVID and malaria, and some of the distribution features, right? And then how to isolate people in their shops and how to also protect themselves, you know. So we did that. We did it as a research, and then we collected data from those drug shop people about what they did. We documented it. So we used that to solve the problem at that time. And then we also put together the paper and sent it to the American Journal of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. They didn't waste time in publishing it. So we used this to help in the fight against COVID-19 at that time, you know. So that's what is called implementation research. You're carrying out that research and you're solving a problem. I can tell you that once you come up with an idea that can solve a specific problem, you can use it to attract opportunities. Very simple.
Yeah. So let's go to American Corner, Calabar. Please unmute and go straight to your question. Then Enugu comes immediately after Calabar. American Corner, Calabar. Okay. So while we are waiting for them, Enugu, can you unmute and ask your question?
All right, thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dr. Uche. If you could summarize your journey from Fulbright scholarship application down to the success you've made so far, sir. How can you summarize that in 5 steps for a recent graduate, sir? And also, do you have the liberty of the choice of, choice of what to study after getting the Fulbright scholarship, sir, or it's actually outlined there in the Fulbright scholarship, application and details? Thank you, sir. That's my question.
Okay, thank you very much. So in summarizing my journey, I'll say 1, critical thinking. 2, confidence. 3, resilience. 4, consistency. And 5, fear of God, right? So these has helped me a lot, in my journey. Like I said earlier, I've tried this along how many years? Was 6 years, space of 5 or 6 years. It didn't work. I came back again. Continuous improvement, right? Continuous development of yourself, will help you a lot in achieving this. And focus, So it's been great. It has been a very interesting journey. I would say that I've not really struggled for anything. I've shaped my mind and my mentality in such a way that even if it is difficult, I don't see it as a struggle. I just see it as a process. If I do it and fail the first time, I just see it as a step in the process, and I continue. So there's no struggle. Take it very easy. Do what you're supposed to do it right, and move it out there. You will see opportunities looking for you, right? So that is just that. That's the summary of it for me. And then for the Fulbright scholarship, I think everything you need is provided in the outline, in the guidelines for applications. But if you want to apply for the Fulbright scholarship, the one that I did, I think it is very, very important, even for other fellowships. One of the things that will help you is to be able to secure a host that will support you. Securing a host that will support you is very, very important. So you have to start on time, develop your proposal, search, find the host, share your ideas with him, and let him make his inputs. Don't argue so much, because sometimes they will also build in their own interest in it. If you argue so much, they will tell you, my friend, the opportunity is lost, or I don't have any opportunity anymore. So you have to be open-minded, right? Accommodate what they are coming with and find a way to, integrate it into what you're coming with, so that everybody will be happy. You have to start on time, do your work, and secure a host, interact with the host. The host gives you a support. And I think that almost 80% of the work is done if you're able to do that. I mean, then you move on to the applications, and then you do it. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think that's fine. Calabar, you can ask your question now. Calabar, quickly.
Good morning. My name is Abundant Umar, and I run a book club in Calabar. We feature book review meetings, autumn mix-up, and monthly book reviews, right? So my question is, how can I further impact my community with this?
With your book club, right?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. So what you're doing is very, very interesting, right? It may not make a lot of sense to you right now. Probably, our people like money, anything that brings money, right? And influence, and recognition. It may not make sense to you right now, but continue doing it. Continue doing it and making the impact that comes with it. Sometime you will see that value. You see, I tell my friends that what brings prosperity is value. As long as you're someone that creates value, you're someone that creates and adds value, prosperity will come with it. Okay? It may not be immediately, but as long as that impact is being made and it is changing, something in the society or your environment, at some point it will be recognized, and the value that is attached or associated with it will come. So just continue doing your book club, and it's a very, very beautiful thing. In fact, I introduced something in our department that I also learned in during my Fulbright scholarship. It's just like what you're doing, book club. We call it research club, journal club. Journal club in my department, where we come and I bring some of my colleagues together and students, and we sit down and we bring out a journal article that is just published of interest, and then we review it, make our inputs and all that. I can tell you that he has added a lot of value. He has helped my colleagues to think deeper, come up with ideas, write, papers that are very, very sound and published in high impact journals. In fact, I've had a friend, a student of mine who is my friend right now, David, who is doing something very similar. He runs an organization that helps people with writing and research and all that. And they also do journal review, I think monthly or even weekly. So it's a very impactful thing, helping people to come together, review books, create, more intellectually focused human beings that will help, in building the society. All right. And that's going to make a lot of impact in your society. And I'm sure that the value associated with it will come. All right. So keep doing it.
Great. All right. So let's go to Oshogbo. Can you unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, my name is Uchechukwu. What motivated you to venture into research?
Okay, I can hear you. You mean what motivated me to venture into research, right?
Yes.
You know, my own motivation is something very funny. I mentioned this earlier. You know, I said that my own motivation was because I saw my lecturers buying new cars each time they traveled and came back. So I wanted to be like them, to be changing cars. You know, so that was my motivation at that time. But the major driver at some point is to help to solve problems associated with infectious diseases. You know, in my locality now, in my country, and then globally. Now, globally, right? To help in contributing towards the control of those infectious diseases that are of a lot of challenge to us. You know, those infectious diseases that make us sick, that affect you know, our social and economic progress as a people, you know, to help in solving those problems. So problem solving, to help in solving societal problems is what motivates me right now, you know, to do my research. Okay, so that is why my research ventures right now are all tailored to solving specific problems, right? So that is the motivation.
So I have this hand raised. Your name is not there. Can you unmute? Tell us your name and your location. I can just see a number. Oh. Okay. So the person is not responding. Let me spotlight you. So Dr. Uche.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. So let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Looking back, how do you think the Fulbright experience has impacted your long-term goals or life trajectory in unexpected ways, or the work you do generally? Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. So, you know, like I said, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Like I said earlier, my Fulbright experience was a very unique one, you know, and it has helped shape, you know, a lot about me right now. In fact, there are some aspirations that I had, right? Some aspirations that I had being an academic and researcher that I now started manifesting, or I started accomplishing after the Fulbright scholarship. One is to publish papers in certain journals. The American Journal of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, BMC Public Health. I mean, specific journals that I wanted to publish in Malaria Journal, Bulletin of the World Health Organization, Nature. I can tell you that after my Fulbright experience, you know, what I learned and how it has helped to shape my thinking and putting things together. I've been able to do research, produce results, and write papers that have been published in some of these journals. The last one now that is being accepted by the Bulletin of the World Health Organization, I think will be published, accepted anytime from now. So I've accomplished all that. Another thing is winning grants by myself, research grants, right? The way I think, the way I am able to x-ray situations and come up with solutions, put the ideas together and apply for grants and attract those grants, I've been able to, you know, accomplish all that. In fact, we just won a grant from the Grant Challenges Nigeria, okay, to develop an interactive digital solution for self-risk assessment and support to improve maternal and child health. Okay, the ability to have diverse ideas, not restricted to a particular space. I used to be a malaria researcher, but right now I call myself a global health and infectious disease control researcher, because wherever there is an infectious disease problem, we're able to look at the issue, come up with ideas that we could use to, at least contribute in solving that problem. So
Great.
all this came about as a result of the Fulbright scholarship experience. All right, being able to think critically, knowing how to put ideas together, knowing how to implement those ideas, and again, leadership, research leadership, being able to put together a team that can, deploy ideas and achieve results and make impact and be able to coordinate them. In fact, sometime in 2020, I think in 2023, we are carrying out a project on our crowdsourced image-based mobility hotspot surveillance for neglected tropical diseases that took us to 45 communities in Nigeria. So in one of the states, I think on those states, and in those states, in all the places that I worked in, we worked with people from the Ministry of Health. So sometimes I allow my team members to lead, discuss with them, go ahead and implement and watch. So at some point, there was some kind of disagreements, right? They continued to disagree on what to do and what not to do. And I stepped in and I talked to them. This is how we do this. This is how we do it. After I finished talking with them, everybody was happy and they were happy to go back to work. One of my friends, colleagues came and told me, Uche, the way you do these things is just so easy. The way you handle these situations is just very easy and everybody is happy. I told him that's leadership. You have to train yourself, train your mind, and understand people and situations and how to handle them. So these are all, I think, as a result of the experience that I had during my Fulbright scholarship stay. And I still continue to thank Professor Stephen Rich, because of, the experience I had in his lab, his family as well, and, everybody he brought together to work with me during the Fulbright scholarship stay.
Great. We have totally run out of time, but some people are asking for if you can direct to websites where they can get opportunities for exchange like yours. Also, our director in Benin City wants you to share your LinkedIn address. She wants to follow you, and I'm sure so many people also wants to follow you. I personally, I didn't know as that scientists can make a lot of impacts the way you've been talking about it. So also I've learned so much from you. On someone Onye Kufevo Chinemerem, if you can unmute and just ask your question in like 3 seconds before we close the session. It's just an hour program. Please quickly do that and ask. We have totally run out of time. Okay, Oshogbo, you can ask. Then Onye Kufevo, you can unmute and ask your question too, just directly to the question.
Good day, sir. My name is Olale. Sir, is there any plan in place to develop a fancy malaria so that everybody can be immunized?
Okay.
Vaccine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So hold on, Doctor. Onye Favor, can you quickly ask your question so Doctor can take the two in a minute before we close the session this morning? Seems she cannot hear us. Okay, Doctor, you can answer the question from Oshogbo.
Okay. So there's a malaria vaccine right now that is being rolled out in parts of Africa. In fact, Nigeria has received her own first batch of the vaccines, I think around November of last year, and being rolled out in Kebbi and Bayelsa states for now. These states are considered to have the highest prevalence of malaria. So the vaccine is called RO21 malaria vaccine. So there's a malaria vaccine right now. Scientists are also working hard to develop more so that we can have, varieties, and then so that it wouldn't be too expensive, So I'm sure that with time, the malaria vaccine will get to all of us, and it's for vaccination for under 5 children for now. And I'm also sure that before we know it, we are going to come up with vaccines that will target adults. So there's the malaria vaccine now, and Nigeria has received our first batch, rolled out in Kebbi and Bayelsa State. Before with time is going to get to other states. So be optimistic, and wait for it. It will come. Okay. So there's hope for malaria control and elimination.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uchechukwu. With this, we have come to the end of the program. I would like to hand over to my colleague, Samede, as he closes the program and announce the programs that we have for next week. Over to you, Samuel.
All right, thank you so much, Josephine. So please, can we all put our hands together for Dr. Uche? Thank you so much, sir. I want to sincerely appreciate you. Oh, is that my audio? All right, sorry about that. So thank you so much, Doctor. This is worth investing time to listen to you, your experiences, and what you are doing. I want to say thank you and God bless you. And just like you all know from across the American spaces that this is courtesy of the U.S. government through the public affairs session of the U.S. mission in Nigeria. And I want to thank you and appreciate you for being part of us this day. Now, this idea behind this is so that we'll be able to learn and understand what opportunities are out there for you. So you can apply to be a beneficiary or beneficiary of any of the U.S. exchange programs. Now, Doctor is a beneficiary of the Fulbright exchange program. We also have what we call the YALI, the Young African Leadership Initiative. We also have the Mandela Washington Fellowship, as well as the SUSI Study of U.S. Study of the U.S. Institute. Study of the U.S. No, Study of the U.S. Institute. We also have that. We also have the one for teachers, the Teaching Excellence program. Also, we have so many of them that is available out there for every cadre of individual. We also have the IVLP. Now, like the Fulbright that you need to apply, IVLP you don't need to apply. If you are doing something worthy out there, just make sure that you are visible. And the easiest way to be visible is on the social media. You get noticed, and you could be nominated for the IVLP, which is International Leadership Leadership Visitors Program, that you go to US and also understudy other institutions doing what you are doing and help you to expand and scale up. So thank you so much for being part of today's session. So next week, Tuesday, we will continue with our week 4 of the Youth Development Series. And for next week, we'll be having that's for Layemi Ololade Umuna, who is the co-founder of, co-founder of Climate and Ecological Protection Initiative. So she'll be talking to us on moving the mission, teamwork, tool, and execution. That's for the under the volunteerism that we are looking at. 3 weeks is already gone by. So we have the 4th week on Tuesday and then the week after the last week. Remember that you need to attend at least 80% physically in any of the American spaces to be given a certificate for this. So please join us next week and also be on the lookout for the Speak with a Diplomat that will also be coming up very soon, and then employability webinar. All these are there for your benefit. And remember, once again, these are all 100% free of charge, paid for by the US government. Now, I'm not saying we paid Dr. Uche. it's a way of him giving back to us, so that you don't say, well, we paid him any money for this. So it's a way of him giving back to us, having benefited from the US exchange programs. And again, please, just like he said, in any field you are in, just, I think the next Fulbright, I think it's currently on, but just go to ng.usembassy.gov, ng.usembassy.gov, and go